started.
Red Rover. Okay, he played e4. Let's see. Okay, French. Let's see. How about a just an e5 opening? Oh, f4, King's Gambit. Let's take it. Sounds like fun. And then defend it with g5. Also maybe threatening g4 in some cases. So he just stops that. Okay, I'm going to develop the bishop. Queen is defending g5. And then now if he pushes on with h4 and tries to take, I can take back because the bishop defends the rook. And I can develop the knight normally because the pawn is defending g4. g5 rather. Okay, so we set up a solid pawn structure here. I want to play knight f6. The question is, can I get away with it? If he pushes e5, can't I just go to d5 with the knight? And then I'm looking at this e3 square. I think that should be good. He has not yet developed bishop c4, which means I have time to castle after he does that. You know, plunking a knight in here and putting the bishop on c4 is often an idea. He's playing in a very relaxed fashion here, just defended the pawn. Can I provoke the push, or do I want to? Let's not do that. I was thinking of d5, all the way to d5. Maybe provoking him to go forward, but it looks like the knight can't safely go forward. And then preparing it with the rook didn't seem appropriate. I wanted to open up a diagonal for this bishop. You know, he's threatening to come in here pretty quickly on the light squared diagonal. So what can I do here? This is interesting. Maybe knight to... I mean, the bishop doesn't seem to have any great moves, right? If I bring it out to e6, he can just kick it again with the pawn to d5. I can start bringing this knight into the game. But since he's left his king over here, I'm just wondering if this early knight move, knight to h5 to g3, is something that might be interesting. So, okay, we will try this. This is, you know, breaking those opening rules. He decides to react to it. So he brings a knight to defend the g3 square. So maybe it wasn't such a silly idea. Okay. Knight c6. I still believe in getting all my pieces out. Now, it'd be nice to get a knight to the b4 square, forking those two pieces, but there's a pawn guarding that square. And even if it was gone, the bishop would guard it. Okay, so let's not worry about that. Let's open this diagonal for my light squared bishop. Pawn to a5 and bishop to a6 is maybe a way to get this bishop into the game. And since he's gone queenside, I can set up for some maybe queenside pawn storm if I get a few pieces out of the way here. And of course he's lined up here pretty good to come in for a kingside attack at some point, so I have to respect that. But getting rid of this light squared bishop should help. Yeah, this knight on h5, it looks funny, but by defending g3 and f4 makes it a little difficult for him to break out on the king side. Okay, so the bishop has nowhere to go, so I assume he will just trade it. The light squared bishop on d3. Yeah, and now this rook is loose, so if he has some tempo attack, yeah, this knight is loose too. Okay, but this is what I was talking about. I've kind of slowed down action on the king side with this knight move, and if he takes with the knight, I'm just going to keep trading because I'm eliminating his attacking pieces. Now he does have he has 3 pieces on that pawn, so he could consider sacrificing one of them and getting pressure here. So how about, I'm just defending that pawn with the queen right now. How about if I bring in another pawn now? Try and hold on to that g5 point in my position here. And hopefully nothing is happening with these guys. So is there a queen move that can attack? Yeah, queen here would attack both those pieces. Okay, so he's piling up on the g-file. Very logical. Let's rescue the knight and get him over here in position to defend. How can I do that, though? Or should I go for counter pressure here? I'm going to drop the rook back and play the queen up. Okay, so now he can take. I take, and then he can sacrifice a piece. Knight takes, pawn takes, and then the rook comes through. With a lot of pressure on the bishop. But I can defend the bishop with the rook, and I can bring the other rook over. And he has to sacrifice material if he wants this attack to work. So let's see if the attack works. This is always interesting. It's hard to predict in advance if that attack is really going to work or not. He could sack either the bishop or the knight. He's probably trying to figure out which one is going to be more useful. If it takes, bishop takes, it hits my queen. I take, knight takes, and then as the knight got some terrible discovered attack. Or if he takes the knight, I take back and then he comes in with the bishop. At least he gains a tempo on my queen. But is that so useful, and is the bishop the best attacking piece? Say knight takes, pawn takes, bishop takes, queen to d7, bishop to, bishop f6 is not possible because the rook is guarding f6. Bishop h6. And then I defend. Then he takes, I take, he takes, I take, he takes. That actually looks like it wins some material back. Okay, so do I have something better than taking? So let's think about that. So it's pawn takes, bishop takes. Queen to d7, bishop to h6, and he's got three pieces lined up on the bishop. I can defend with the rook, but then he takes, I take, he takes, and he's got, it's like a fork between my queen and king, so I have to give up queen, bishop, and rook for two rooks and the bishop. But I also got the knight in there. So I would have, at the end of all that, I would have rook and knight against queen, and he has an extra pawn. That's actually winning for white. Is there some clever way to disrupt this? I have a check. There's a check here. But that also is eliminating one of those potential defenders of the bishop. Place my rook on f2, maybe, hitting this bishop. Let's try this. I'm not sure. If I have enough time and can bring the other rook over, I might actually survive this. But maybe not. But it's an interesting attack anyway. He goes back. Okay, he just snagged a pawn and runs away. And now he's threatening to trap my rook, I suppose. Well, let's bring the other rook over. Ah, he's threatening to take the bishop right away. Yeah, the two rooks are hitting the bishop. My rook can't get back to defend. See, if I take the bishop, and it's not helping all that much. So let's take the knight. It's going to end up the same as before, I guess. Oh, he just took back. So I think he could have gone ahead and taken here. Let's bring this rook over. He won the exchange on a pawn, so it's probably good enough for a win. He's maybe not trying to find the most accurate moves at this point. Okay, I think he can just bring his rook back to double up on the bishop. Now I unpinned the bishop and defended the h-pawn. So yeah, I've got queen and 2 pieces, and he's got queen, bishop, and rook. So, and let's count the pawns. It's only, actually the pawns are even. So I'm just down the exchange after all of that. Yeah, but my king is all exposed, and his king is pretty safe, so that counts as well. That's an advantage to him, in addition to the material advantage. So let's see how he continues the attack. Pushing the pawn forward, probably logical. Bring the queen out. Pile up on the bishop. This knight's not yet in the game. Well, pushing the pawn forward might help me get the knight in the game. So takes, and knight takes. Yeah, so he goes there with his bishop, and that opens up an avenue for his queen to come over. There's logic there. How do I get this knight in the game? And is there something else I can be doing? His pieces are all defended. The bishop defends the rook, king defends the queen. The bishop is loose, so not all his pieces are defended. If I could attack this d-pawn, that would be useful. Yeah, I don't have a good way to attack the bishop, and my knight is 3 moves away from attacking the d-pawn. Pawn forward. He can't take. He might push. Knight. Okay, well, I got to get the knight into the game, so let's get it over here in some fashion or other. Maybe e6 to e6 to g5 is the route for the knight into the game. Of course, he can check on the f file at any time. I'm just going to walk my king over to the queen side. He can also pile up on this pawn, but I have knight to f7 defending the pawn. Yeah, some combination of attacking the h-pawn here and attacking the bishop is probably winning. Okay, so he starts with that check. Just my pieces are cramped. So the knight on e6 defends the bishop. Okay, that takes squares away from my king, so I can't easily walk back here. But I can block that, can't I? He can push on with... he can push on with d5, that's true. His queen can get to this square c8. That would be annoying. Okay, so he piles up on the knight. Let's see, if I drop my knight back here to attack his rook, queen c8, king f7, queen back, check, king back. Is there more than a repetition there? Then he takes the knight. Oh no, the knight's not there. So knight f8. He's also piling up on the h pawn. Knight f8, queen here, check, king back. Oh, he just runs away. Yeah. So how do I stop things? Maybe I'll just no, that loses the piece. The trade of the queens leaves the bishop hanging. Okay, let's step away with the king. So now he doesn't have queen to c8 check. Bishop on this diagonal would be dangerous, though, wouldn't it? Maybe just knight back to e6 here. This is an idea now. He's not making any progress at the moment. He's making it hard for me to play moves, though. Okay, the queen came over there, so now he's piling up on the h-pawn. That makes sense. and my knight's not in a position to defend it. But the queen can come here, right? He has rook to f4, blocking my queen. If I go there... And he's got this e-pawn defended again. Okay, I'm going to keep running, keep running with my king. Try and get away from all these dangerous threats here. And I have to give up this pawn over here, it looks like. That was a weak pawn, so it was probably a goner in any case.
Check.
So, queen here, he can still play rook to f4. Yeah, and rook to f4 also wins the knight, which is annoying. Let's try and get the knight into the game once again. Poor knight has no moves. What's going on here? So rook down to the 7th rank, maybe rook to g7, hitting the queen. Then I could play queen to f8. Yeah, he just kicks the knight. But at least he gave the knight a square. Now I'm threatening something. Yes, I get to make a threat. The pawn on e4 there is loose. And his king is a little bit exposed now. He's gotten rid of the bishop on this diagonal. His rook has come forward, so the queen's guarding that diagonal, but the rook's not guarding the back rank. So maybe I can sneak in and give some checks. Maybe I can escape with a draw somehow. Well, you really play with fire when you play the King's Gambit. I think in tournament games I often will decline the King's Gambit in one way or another. Although I have played it for both sides, for white and for black, in tournament games. Even as black, it's interesting. You have lots of counterattacking chances in the King's Gambit. In fact, it's probably good for black objectively. Okay, so he's going to pile up on the back rank. Oh, he's defending that pawn too. Okay, so I can check. And the king moves, probably goes to the corner. And then do I have a forking square? Yes, here. Check here and then back here, forking the queen and the rook. He plays check here to get out of it. I move my king here, and he has to move his rook. Well, it's not bad.
Check.
Is it? And puts the knight in a more central location. And my king is a little bit safer over there.
Check.
And at least I was able to play that quickly. So half a minute left on my clock to a minute and a half. We're using up the clock here. Just got to find a way to get this queen going, yeah. So now he lets me. He lets me in. So the thing is, he's not mating me immediately. It takes 2 moves to mate me. He's got to bring his queen over here. I mean, to start checking, really. Queen here attacking the this pawn, the c pawn, and then he can check and mate me probably over here or this way. But now I have checks.
Check.
That was what I was thinking. I don't have to trade. I can start giving checks, and maybe there's something here. I always got to look for something. I can drive him to this square.
Check.
Or to that square. Oh, I was thinking I could get my queen here. The queen doesn't go there. Okay, there's no knight check. The queen can come here, actually, and defend this pawn. And his king is looking a bit shaky there. Let's do that. So, yeah, it's a tricky business. So if I could guard this escape here, he plays that way. So I have a check. King can come forward. And the knight is checkmate, right? So he can't come forward. Knight here is checkmate, so he has to go back. Goes back there. Queen can come here with check.
Check.
Yeah, if I win this game, it'll just show that sometimes chess is not a fair game.
Check.
Let's just go for a draw here. I just realized I'm down to 6 seconds on my clock here. I need to make some quick moves. If he goes here, I have a knight check, so he should probably go back to c1. But then I have this pawn check. Queen takes on c3 as check as well. Looking dangerous. He should settle for the draw too. I would go for a draw if he drops back to c1. I would go check and try and take all his pawns with check, but settle for that draw. He just ran out of time. Okay, his clock is going backwards now. Let's see how long the server takes to realize that he's
adjourned.
Oh, it can't be adjourned. That's ridiculous. He can't disconnect at a time like this.
Incoming challenge.
Okay, he's trying to resume. Okay.
Game started.
He's in check. He's got 39 seconds. Yeah, that's a cheap trick. What did he play? Okay, they gave me some time back. I was looking at the wrong screen. So he had moved his king. So I'm defending this pawn, and I still have threats against his king. Okay, so he's going to
check.
Leave off.
White forfeits on time.
Okay. Well, like I say, chess is not a fair game sometimes. Anyway, we will upload this and do a postmortem. See you guys later. Bye.